we are mammals. What characterizes us is that we breastfeed our children. That will make us similar to other mammals of other species. And they honor that in Crete. You can see it even more in the next slide. Oh, okay. So here we see that how, the skills that the Minoans had. This is the queen's bidet. This is the private bathroom of the queen. And not only you see part of the decoration again, the skirt lines, but you also see that there was plumbing. They had taps to get water in your bathroom. Something that disappeared. It didn't happen. I think in the imperial Rome, the luxury of imperial Rome, some people would have that. But then it disappears again, and you don't get it until the 20th century. Like my grandmother used to fetch water from the fountain. So, see how advanced they were. You can imagine that they put their effort in creativity and not defensiveness. And so how much more effort, how much more energy was free for creativity when they didn't have to think about defensiveness. Okay. Again, we have an altar, and look at the form of this altar. It's circular. It's like the circle that we form when we practice democracy without succeeding. Right? Why? Because a circle makes us equal. There is no hierarchy. So when the place of worship, the sacred, is circular, everybody participates. Okay, and that's a Cretan model. This was found in Knossos, in Crete. If you think of an altar, it's like a place, and then there's the priest, and the priest is the authority. People are just, common. This is very different. So let's try again to practice democracy from these models. Let's try to make circles where people are equal and come prepared to participate. I am willing to give it another try, even though today was very depressing. Somewhat depressing. Next. Okay, here we have a more evolved example of this fertility goddess. Okay, look at, she has the snake. Okay, the snake is a symbol of this sort of ability to move, this flexibility of the femininity. This precedes Christianity. This is not Eve's snake. Eve is not in the picture yet. And you see that the celebration of this, fertility, of this offer, of this giving, this source of nurturance that is the characterized amount. Okay, here is another area in which the Cretans characterizes them. They had what they call the tauromaquia, which was a game with a bull, un juego con el toro. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the corrida, where you kill the bull, donde se mata el toro. Okay. This is just a skill of dexterity, of agility. The woman usually was a woman. Women were very important in these games. She has to stand in balance, as you see her with her legs up, on the ball that jumps around. So it's more a domination that comes from harmony, not from killing. It's a bit like if you remember the film Avatar, where the Na'vi, they don't have to kill these animals in the forest. They simply harmonize with them. Okay, so it's similar. She learns to dance with the bull so that she can also lose the fear of the bull, because the bull is not going to be an enemy, just a platform to dance. Next. Here's another beautiful Minoan vase, and you see the persistence of these curved lines. Okay, next. And a fruit bowl. Next, another ceremonial vase. Okay. So we go back now, we move actually to what we call the classical era of Greece. Okay, remember that the Cretans, the Minoans, disappear in 14 And now we are moving to Athens, which is not in the Peloponnesus, is actually in this region called Attica. Athens, this is the Peloponnesus, right? So, we are moving almost 1,000 years later, because classical era in Greece, in Athens, the era of the Peloponnesian Persian Wars, the Peloponnesian Wars, the dialogues of Plato, the comedies of Aristophanes, is the 4th and the 5th and the 4th century before Christ. So we're jumping, estamos brincando almost 1,000 years. Okay. So look at the structure. This is the Parthenon of Athens. First of all, you can see now the Acropolis. The Acropolis is this hill that dominates the surrounding areas. Why? Because it's defensive. If you're on top, you know what's going on around you and you can defend yourself. So we look at now the energy, the intelligence is focused on defensiveness. We have to find the highest hill so that we can dominate the surroundings. Okay? And that's where we're going to build our main temple, the Parthenon. And you can see the triangle and the columns. So the rounded lines have disappeared. Can you notice that? It's all really straight lines in different positions. Next. And it's another picture of Athens and the Acropolis. It's not very elaborate. This is a closer look at the Parthenon. You have to consider that many of these monuments, well, they were very different at that time. The Parthenon was not just stone, it was all painted, and it had all the friezes, the bas-relief, el basso-relievo of the decorations. In that triangle, for example, there were all histories represented by these characters that emerged from the stone. So all of this is gone. You find it in Berlin, you find it in London, you find it in museums where it is kept, but it's not at the site of its origin. Okay, next. And so this is a temple that is better preserved, so it gives you more of a sense of what a temple looked like. And you see that all the curved lines have disappeared. It's really square and triangular, rectangular lines. Okay. They have remained, these curved lines, in the theaters. Okay? Remember, the theater is a ritual, an extension of the ritual of Dionysus. Dionisio, for the Romans it was Bacchus. Okay. Dionysus is the god, male god of excess, inebriation. Wine for the Romans. For the Greeks, it was more complex. Remember, the Romans always materialized things, okay? Bacchus is the god of wine, but Dionysus is the god of ecstasy, of altered states, of inebriation, of behavior that is, beyond ordinary, okay? Including in groups, not just one person. There were these bacchanals that were actually, rituals, sacred sexual rituals, okay? So the theater, the Greek theater, is an expansion of the cult of Dionysus. And so here we still see the rounded forms. And you see how they built their theater in a bowl. There was a natural bowl. So all they had to do is do the stairs. Okay? And at the bottom is where the skene was. And so that was the actors. But nonetheless, women were now left out. There were no female actors. All the female characters were played by men. And it's not clear that women could go to the theater as spectators. It's not, we don't really know. Next. So here's another theater also preserved even better, and it's much larger at Ephesus. Next. And here is a reconstruction. So you see that there is that circular shape of the orchestra where people look. So semicircular, and then the other half of the circle is actually the skene, and that's where the actors are there behind, and then they come to the front when they act. Okay, next. Another theater, even larger, at Epidaurus. Okay. Now we get to Greek sculpture. Okay. Remember Athena? Athena, for the Romans, Minerva, is the goddess of intelligence, of rationality. She was born from a thigh of Zeus. She wasn't born from a woman. She just spurted out of Zeus or Jupiter's thigh. Okay. So she's an Olympian goddess. She's not a Titan. Titans were these forces of nature, fertility, okay, or time. This is more like a divinity that looks like a human, with the difference that she's immortal. She doesn't die or become old. Okay, and she represents a principle, an idea, but not a force of nature. Intelligence, rationality, is not really a force of nature. It's more like a human characteristic. Okay, so here is Athena. So one of the sculptures of the classical era, see that we are in the 5th century, el quinto siglo antes de Cristo, is Phidias, and she was in the Parthenon. Next. Okay, this is one of the decorations, former decorations of the Parthenon. All around there were these decorations, and each one was dedicated to a legend, a myth. So you get a little bit of that here. You see that the study of the human body of this age, especially the perfection of the human body, is really astounding. Remember that Plato thought that all the examples that we find in nature refer to an idea that is hidden from us, but is perfect. Okay? That's the basis of idealism. Those ideas that are sort of the prototypes of everything that exists and is imperfect. So you see how the art of this time really tries to imitate perfection. Not human nature in its multiplicity or variety or imperfection, but rather in its perfection, including youth. Youth is part of that perfection. As Agathon claims that, Eros looks like him. He's young and he is desirable and handsome. So it's a little bit of that we see in this age. Continue. Next. Okay. So here we have another sculpture, Praxiteles.